I've had a good night's sleep in the Hotel Renaissance in Cherbourg, and this is the Gare Maritime, built in 1933 to service transatlantic liners. 34 concrete arches hold a copper and glass roof over a shed that extends for 240 metres. It really is a formidable structure. It is said the station could handle 1,000 people an hour transferring between ship and rail. Of course, it's no longer a station, but now it's a maritime museum. And round the back is the retired nuclear submarine Redoubtable. It's now open to the public, but of course all the nuclear equipment and materials have been carefully removed. I'm so pleased that I took the time to pop down here, but now it's time to head out for a much less impressive station, but at least it's one that still has a train service. Cherbourg's SNCF station is just beyond the fishing docks here, and it's a modern rebuild that seems well fitted to its function as a small terminus. The railway has been here since 1858. Judging from the line drawing here, the platforms behind featured a now removed all-over train shed, and certainly the buildings on either side look a lot older. Well, I'm sat here in the fresh air whilst the rain now teems down. Eventually, we're called forward to board our train. Oh, and look, they've laid out a red carpet for us. Well, I'm pleased I'm not having to drag a suitcase over all this wet, muddy gravel. Our train is this 10-car Regio 2N type EMU. Now, these double-deck trains work all over France, and I think this variant has a top speed of 200 kilometers per hour. So let's have a look inside the front car, which is first class. I'm really loving the large amount of luggage space and the general areas that look functional, if not flashy. However, in the coach, the ash-coloured privacy screens make for a quality feel. And here's my seat for today, seat 86. The seat itself doesn't look that impressive as it has quite a boring moquette, but it does prove pretty comfortable on the ride. And of course, it does feel premium with that little side table, a privacy screen, reading light, and under the armrest, 2 USB-A ports and a European plug socket. Oh, and you even get a bit of recline. So whilst it's quiet, let's have a quick look upstairs as well. It's really nice up here, and again, the little bits of wood give you that quality feel. Right, we'll leave Johnny to get settled into his seat and we will look at a map. This train is specifically to serve this part of Normandy. After leaving Cherbourg, there's 4 stops in Normandy and then one final call at Caen. Then, from there, we'll run fast all the way to Paris Saint-Lazare, joining the line from Rouen at Mont-la-Jolie. The route's mostly set to run at 160 km per hour, but there's also some sections of 200. And that means that thanks to good acceleration and also to the limited stops, the 371 kilometres or 230 miles will take just under 3¼ hours. Now, that's not a bad average for this intercity train. And we're away spot on time at 08:50. And this is actually the start of a very long journey for me, because I plan to change trains at Paris and continue on to Milan. But more on that in a later video. We have to leave in a southwesterly direction as there's a row of hills to the south of the city that we must skirt around before we can head out in the direction of Paris. Still, these trains are very quick to accelerate, so we're soon hitting the current line speed of 160 km per hour. Normandy is looking pretty grey as we roll into Valognes, where there's a healthy smattering of morning commuters awaiting a swift removal to Paris. And there also appears to be French cider graffiti. Well, I suppose they do like their cider around here. Edward III of England's troops looted and burnt this city in 1346, and I'm pleased to say my passage through was much more peaceful. Beyond Valognes, the countryside continues to slide by. Open Railway map shows this as a section of 200 km per hour line, but our unit seems to stick to 160. Do let me know in the comments if these particular units can indeed run at 200. As we approach Carentan, my little corner of first class remains quite empty inside, and the weather remains quite foul outside. Incidentally, in addition to French, these trains have both English and German announcements. Carentan marks our exit from the Cotentin Peninsula, and the town's only got about 6,000 inhabitants. So they do very well to have this excellent service running directly to Paris, even if the platforms, maybe they're a bit scruffy. The line we're riding on now is known as the Mont-la-Jolie-Cherbourg Railway. Mont-la-Jolie had a connection to Paris on the line to Rouen as early as 1843. This new extension, though, to Cherbourg was opened between 1855 and 1858 by the Chemin de Fer de l'Ouest, and it wasn't fully electrified until 1996. Lisson is a junction station for the cross-country line down to the coast at Granville. Now, I begin to get some neighbours here, and the coach is really starting to fill up. Progress continues to be excellent, and the weather continues to be rubbish. Bayeux appears to be that tourist hotspot that you might expect. There's a lot of people boarding, and many of them are not French, and they also have a great deal of luggage. You know, I do always wonder what people have in those giant suitcases. What is it that they must have with them when they travel? Still, the Regio 2N has a lot of luggage space, and the cases are all gobbled up by the generous racks. Crossing the river, we enter into Caen. In the rail yards as we depart is a large display of what I think are X73500 single-unit diesel rail cars. Oh, and isn't that control cabin lovely? So we've left Caen spot on time just after 10 AM, and now we have fully 2 hours of non-stop riding until we reach Paris. The basilica at Lisieux can be clearly seen from the train, and it certainly doesn't look like it was completed in 1954. Oh, on the subject of ticket price, here's the single prices I'm seeing for 1 month in advance. Now, they're not cheap, but they're not hugely expensive, so probably just what you'd expect for a journey like this in Western Europe. Sakini station is set on a kind of triangle junction. The line for Rouen goes north here, and we swing southeast for Mont-la-Jolie and Paris. And hiding behind the trees here is the Évreux racecourse. And then we pass the rather nice station of Évreux itself. Passing Bréval means we've finally left Normandy for the Île-de-France. All this new concrete means we're about to pass through that major junction at Mont-la-Jolie. And of course it's here that the term non-stop comes a cropper, as no doubt we've been held at a red light. Still, at least I get a view of the rail yards. Finally, we're back on our way through the station throat and heading out to the south of the River Seine. The coal and oil power station at Pourcheville is now closed, having been finally shut down in 2017. And then for just a little while we joined the Autoroute de Normandy, the A13. And all the while our train is now diving through the northwest suburbs of Paris, looking for our route into Saint-Lazare. Poissy is home to a major Peugeot factory, now part of the Stellantis Corporation. But I'm happy with my transportation built by Alstom. Maisons Lafitte marks where we cross the Seine, but we'll have to cross the meandering river twice more before we get into Saint-Lazare. And here we are making our last crossing of the river, enjoying a lovely view of the bridge and all the static traffic that's on it. Haha. And then it's time to pass the massive SNCF Technicentre and rail yards. And then we'll dive down and make our final approach into Saint-Lazare. And so we're into Saint-Lazare spot on time at midday. Now that was a very pleasant and problem-free start to my day's travelling. As I'm right towards the front, I can quickly alight and pass through the open barriers and away into the concourse. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little trip through Normandy on these very impressive Regio 2N units as much as I have. I think they're very well suited to the task for which they've been employed. And do join me again soon when I'll be heading out from Paris with SNCF on their TGV service to Milan. That of course departs from Gare de Lyon, so luckily the weather has picked up and I will have time to change stations by foot, walking along by the riverbank. Of course that is another story, and so this trip will continue in the next video, which will be available next week, but maybe a little earlier if you decide to become a channel member. In the meantime, from Paris, it's goodbye and thank you so much for watching.